is looked at.
With me, Congressman Mike Quigley, Democrat from the great state of Illinois, who serves in the House Intelligence Committee. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
In listening to Director Comey saying that there is no information that President Obama wiretapped President Trump, it's either right or it's wrong, or that, and it's wrong that it was either the president tweeted that based on that he was mistaken or he did it intentionally. What do you think this is?
I'm not sure what's worse, the president of the United States lying about this or watching Breitbart and tweeting it, or actually believing that it's true. And adding insult to injury, the president of the United States tweeting about that during perhaps the most important investigation since Watergate's first hearing is extraordinary. A surreal day on the Hill.
So what are you going to do, if anything, or what can you do, or what's the recourse, or what do you tell the American people, and where does Congress take it beyond this hearing on that particular issue?
I think what comes out of today's hearing is an impetus that the American public knows that this investigation has to move forward, that this isn't just smoke somewhere, that there is there, and we can't be stymied. We're going to need resources to do this investigation.
All right, well, there seem to be two issues. One is the tweet that President Trump made that President Obama wiretapped him. That seems now has been at least put to rest, although the White House is still standing behind it. And the other is the investigation whether there was some sort of collusion or some improper contact between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. Is that right? Is that the way you see this?
That's right. And what we're waiting for is the next distraction. What sense that this whole thing was about Trump Tower was the president, in typical fashion, trying to find a distraction because he didn't like the news cycle. All
right. So how fast do you want this investigation to go? How fast can it go as to whether or not Russia and the Trump campaign were colluding in any way? Because this is hanging over the administration, and when it hangs over the administration, it has a profound impact on how everything operates in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complicated, layered, textured investigation. It's going to require compelling people to testify who really don't want to testify. We're probably going to have to give people immunity, and that's possible. So we're going to need cooperation from the Republicans. It would help a great deal if we got a cooperation from the White House. I think what we're going to see is obstruction. All
right. Well, there's two things that could happen, though. Is if you get aggressive here on Capitol Hill and start bringing people up to testify, and you give immunity, you run the problem of having that immunity apply in the courtroom should it end up in some other in a criminal venue. So I mean, so even what you do, you have to do carefully.
Absolutely, and that's again why we're going to need cooperation with the FBI.
All right. You're a former criminal defense lawyer. Presumption of innocence. A lot of names get thrown around today. A lot of suppositions. A lot of things. I mean, do you have some sort of empathy for the names that are being thrown around here as possible? I know that Paul Manafort has issued a statement saying that he had nothing to do with this, and his name got dragged through it today.
Look, these are important charges, and I recognize that people's names get thrown out there. I didn't hear anybody's name thrown out there that didn't have a tremendous amount of evidence out there suggesting that they played a role. They weren't particularly close. They were particularly close to the Trump campaign and particularly close to the Russians. And there's enough smoke there to connect them to this. Any investigation begins with some inference of understanding that there's a problem afoot. From there, they have the entire protection of our criminal justice system.
As a former trial lawyer in the courtroom, who's the one person, if you want to get one person, one question in this investigation, who do you want to, and what's your question?
Yeah, boy, it's tough. I mean, obviously, I'd like to get General Flynn to tell us exactly what took place.
Do you expect that he's going to testify before your hearing?
I do.
Has he been called?
I wouldn't know that. I don't think anybody's been called yet.
Why would you bring him up to testify? Because he's not going to talk, or you're going to give him immunity. And if he's got other problems down the road, then you got a bigger problem.
Yeah, the problem is we have to get to the truth somehow, and they can't just go on forever as you suggest. So there's no. This is difficult for the reasons you just stated. I'm not saying it's easy, but to answer your question, I want General Flynn to tell us exactly what took place.
And you're going to get to the bottom of this?
I think we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to need the American public pressuring all of Congress and the White House to release their information to cooperate.
Congressman, thank you. Nice to see you, sir. Hope you come back.
Thanks again.